Hey, welcome to the Retro Bite Show. My pal Brock's in a hospital right now, so I'll be hosting for most of this episode. He said something about Donkey Kong on the go and a car crash that I couldn't really hear much of the sirens. I was able to understand that he needed me to host the show for him. I'm actually gonna go visit him right now, as a matter of fact. Hey, Brock.
Sup, Hayden?
You know how you were talking about Donkey Kong and something with a car?
Yeah, I was talking about a car accident I was in.
Well, I'm more of a fan of a different Kong with a car, and this one's even a marsupial.
Who is it?
I'm talking about Koala Kong, of course. He's in Crash Team Racing. But I forgot the PS4, so we can't play it. I know! Oh, Magic Man! I am the Magic Man, and this is Bodacious Man. I bring you the gift of PS4. You're welcome for the radical PS4, bros, but now I have to be going. Well, now that we've got the PS4, let's play a Crash Bandicoot racing game.
Cool, which one?
Well, we've got tons of options.
To start off with, let's talk about the racing game that started it all. Now, Crash Bandicoot, he's had his fair share of racing games over the years, but without this game, they might not have ever made a Crash Bandicoot racing game. Crash Team Racing for the PlayStation 1 was the first Crash Bandicoot racing game and started a trend of Crash Bandicoot racing games that continues long after its release. CTTR was released in 1999, and the story of the game goes as follows. Crash, his friends, and his enemies all plan to enter a kart racing tournament, and are preparing to enter it, when suddenly, a spaceman with a head shaped like a flat watermelon and an elephant trunk that has his mouth on it travels to Earth and challenges the Earthlings to a racing challenge. He proclaims himself to be the fastest racer in the galaxy and gives the Earthlings a challenge to play a game he calls Survival of the Fastest. The rules of his game are simple. If he wins, he'll turn the entire Earth into a concrete parking lot and make the residents of Earth his slaves forever. But, on the other hand, if the challenger from Earth wins, he'll just leave it alone. And then he kinda just goes down to Earth and waits for someone to challenge him. Everyone who was gonna do the racing tournament originally is getting ready, except Crash, who's just passed out. So, the game needs you to collect all 16 trophies, 4 at a time, and then face off against Ripperoo, Papu Papu, Komodo Joe, and Pinstripe Potoroo. After beating them, you get a boss key from each of them, and after getting all 4, Oxide is finally willing to race against the challenger for the fate of the world. They win, but he's decided to be a sore loser and refuses to leave until they collect all the relics and race him again. After collecting all 20 CTR tokens and winning all 5 gem cups, the challenger from Earth goes back to Oxide. They both race each other. Earthling wins. Oxide promises to leave and never come back. The world is saved. Hurrah. The game plays a lot like other kart racing games. You choose a character, they gotta compete against the other racers on many interesting and fun racetracks, and during the race you can get power-ups that either help you or hurt your opponents. But this game does have some features that help it stand out from others. There's a Wumpa Fruit mechanic, where the more fruit crates you break, the faster your kart goes, and if you collect all 10 Wumpa Fruits, your power-ups get juiced up, making the effects more powerful. There's also this really important mechanic called the power slide that I just cannot figure out for the life of me. It apparently gives you speed boost if executed correctly, but you can also get speed boost by getting hang time by jumping over the gaps in the track. There's 5 different racing modes, which are the adventure mode, the time trial, the arcade mode, the versus mode, and the battle mode. I've already pretty much explained most of the adventure modes, so I'll just give you a quick rundown of it. Single player, you choose one of the 8 starting racers, who are Crash, Dr. Neocortex, Tiny Tiger, Coco, Engine, Dingodile, Polar, and Purr. Depending on whether your character is a hero or villain in the normal Crash games, they're tutored by either Aku Aku or Uka Uka. They are then dropped at End Sandy Beach, which serves as the starting area, and the rest of the story plays out from there. I forgot to mention it earlier, but winning the Gem Cups unlock the bosses as playable characters. I'm a pretty big fan of Ripperoo, so I usually play as him. Next up is the time trial. It's a single player mode, where you try to get the best time in a race. If you get a good enough time, you can challenge Entropy's Ghosts, which is the most confusing way to refer to these guys. After you beat Entropy, you can then challenge N-Oxide Ghosts. Then you'll be all of Oxide's Ghosts. You unlock the Naughty Dog scrapbook in the main menu. The arcade mode lets you quickly race on a selection of tracks against a selection of opponents with up to 2 players. You can race on either one singular racetrack, or you can race in a racing cup that has players race over 4 tracks for the highest total score. There are 4 cups: the Wumpa Cup, Crystal Cup, Nitro Cup, and the Crash Cup. There's 3 difficulties for each cup. Easy as well from the start, and you unlock the other difficulties by competing in all 4 cups in the last difficulty. Versus mode is basically just a multiplayer racing mode, and finally, battle mode is a multiplayer game inside of an arena. You can have teams or have a free-for-all match. You win by either killing all the other players until their lives are at 0, reaching a specific score first, or getting the most points before the match ends. There's a ton of power-ups that I don't have time to explain right now, so let's just talk about how the public responded to it. It was very well received, and while it was noted by some that the graphics weren't too complex, they said that the cartoony look and the ingenious use of textures and colors were high points in the graphics department. Only part of the game that critics had mixed opinions on was the audio. Some critics thought the music and sound bites were enjoyable and not annoying, but Doug Perry of IGN really hated it. He said that music was not necessarily great, and said that after a few courses, you either stop hearing it or the incessant simplicity of it makes you want to cry or pull your hair out. He also said there was nothing really that cute, clever, or memorable about the voice acting, and compared Crash's voice to that of Luigi in Mario Kart. John Liu of Game Revolution said the music was standard kitschy fare, and also thought some of the character voices were unsatisfactory. But overall, CTR is an innovative and fun game. But if you really care about sound design, then you will apparently feel the urge to tear your own hair out of your scalp after hearing the music for a few courses. Let's move on to the next Crash Bandicoot racing game. Crash Nitro Kart is the second Crash Bandicoot racing game made, and was first released in 2003. It has the same basic concepts and mechanics as CTR, bringing back the power slide mechanic, and keeping the platform-based design of the courses, while also introducing a new anti-gravity mechanic, where players drive up specific maglev surfaces. The gameplay is pretty much the same, except power slide meters changed, and there's more team-based game modes, and obviously there's the anti-gravity mechanic. The story is that Crash, his friends, and his enemies are abducted by another alien named Emperor Velo the 27th. He forces them to race so the Earth isn't destroyed. He said they gotta race on 4 worlds against the champions of those worlds so they can race against the Galactic Champion, beat the champions. They go to the Galactic Champion to fight him. They find out Velos is Galactic Champion. They win the race. He says be a crybaby and won't let him go back to Earth. And tells them he won't give him a rematch until they collect all his time relics. They do it, have a rematch, they win. Velos gets so angry about losing that he literally explodes and is revealed to be a small, gremlin-like version of himself. If Team Bandicoot wins, then Velo gives his empire to the Bandicoots, and Crash gives his empire back in exchange for sending the Bandicoots and Polar back to Earth. But if Team Cortex wins, they steal a scepter, try to use it to get back to Earth, break it, are sent to the planet Terra, where they fought against one of the champions. And Tiny is revered as a king by the natives. There's 12 game modes. I don't have the time to explain them right now. 16 playable characters, which are Crash, Coco, Crunch, Dr. Neocortex, Engine, Tiny Tiger, Nitrous Oxide, Entrance, Polar, Dingodile, Zam, Pura, Fake Crash, Entropy, and Velo. It received mixed reviews and was complimented on the power slide system, while also being dismissed as a generic kart racer. Controls and graphics were positively received, and while it was stated that the audio could become annoying and silly if you listen to it too much or too closely, and it was thought the attitude of the character soundbite sounded a bit forced. But it was also complimented, and nobody wanted to tear hair out of their own scalp, so that's good. Now it's time to talk about Crash Tag Team Racing. It's the third Crash Bandicoot racing game and has a very different gameplay than the previous installments. It features full-size cars instead of go-karts, focuses on combat a lot more than the last games, and the main highlight is that you can merge two cars and have a team where one player shoots the opposing cars and the other drives the car. This is also the first game in the Crash Bandicoot series to feature skins. Interestingly, this game has a hub world, where you unlock tracks, arenas, and minigames. You can also unlock new cars, weapon upgrades, and characters by completing missions. Additionally, by collecting Wumpa coins in the hub world, you can buy crystals or skins from park drones. When enough crystals are collected, Crash can unlock the jump pad that leads to a gem and unlocks the next park area. There are 8 playable characters, which are Crash, Dr. Cortex, Pasadena Opossum, Crunch Bandicoot, Coco, Nina Cortex, Dr. Engine, and Ebenezer Von Clutch. The story, for once, isn't about aliens, surprisingly, and instead involves an eccentric cyborg named Ebenezer Von Clutch, who owns an insanely dangerous racing theme park. He owns a gem called the Blackheart Power Gem that is basically just his heart, and then it gets stolen and he sets up an event where anyone who finds it is given ownership of this park. Yeah, he's gonna die without it. He needs that to survive. Anyways, on the last day that he can survive without his heart gem thing, Cortex, Engine, and Nina Cortex are tracing Crash, Coco, and Crunch near a road that leads to the theme park. They drive in, and Von Clutch convinces them come in. They're not really interested until Cortex says he's going to win the contest and use the theme park as his evil lair. Then the Bandicoots need to win the contest and save Von Clutch's life so Cortex can't do evil stuff in the theme park. The Bandicoots just didn't even think about saving this guy's life. They just really hate Cortex. Anyways, Crash finds the first power gem, and they find out that the power gems are used to get into sections of the park. Crash and the gang find the rest of the gems and begin to head towards the final area, called Astroland. Cortex whines about how he's doing awful in the contest, and Coco finds a Wumpa drink linking all the stolen gems. Since Crash is drinking that, they all blame him for some reason, even though he's the one helping them and found the first gem. Anyways, the actual person who makes the drink reveals himself to be the thief, and Crash and the gang chase the dastardly Willy Wumpa cheeks to Astroland. Willy Wumpa cheeks. Crash finds him in a rocket attraction. Cortex turns him into goo with a laser thing, effectively killing him. He tries to kill the Bandicoots, fails, and goes flying out of the park. Von Clutch dies, but then Crash literally coughs up the heart gem thing. Lets Coco put it into Von Clutch's stomach, I think. And then he comes back to life. Yay. Crash then accidentally knocks the gem out of him again and drives away and just doesn't bother to put it back so he can live. And nobody, ever prosecutes him or scolds him for accidentally killing him temporarily again. They can just put the gem back in his body, but still, it's kind of messed up to accidentally kill the guy again. Anyways, game received mixed reviews on all aspects, and I'm just gonna ask Brock to put an image of the fandom page up right now. You can pause and read it if you want. Now it's finally time for the latest Crash racing game. CTR Nitro Fueled is the latest Crash racing game, and the 4th in the series. There are 56 playable characters in this game, which are Crash, Cortex, Tiny Tiger, Coco, Engine, Dingodile, Polar, Pura, Pentapenguin, Ripperoo, Papu Papu, Komodo Joe, Pinstripe, Fake Crash, Nitrous Oxide, Entropy, Crunch, Crunk, Small Norm, Big Norm, Nash, Entrance, Real Velo, Geary, Zam, Zem, Tana, Amy, Megumi, Liz, Isabella, Baby Crash, Baby Coco, Baby T, Spyro, Hunter, Nasty Nork, Komodo Mo, Dr. Embryo, Nina Cortex, Koala Kong, Pasadena Opossum, Ebenezer Von Clutch, King Chicken, Willaroo, Yaya Panda, Hasty Chick, Stu, Megamix, Emperor Velo 27, Lab Assistant, Uka Uka, Baby Cortex, Baby Entropy, Fixed Willaroo, and Iron Checkpoint Crate. I'm a Ripperoo fan, so I usually play as him. You can also customize your cart in this game. I'm pretty sure the story for this game's adventure mode is just the exact same as the one from the CTTR original, so I'm not going over it. This game also has the most skins in any Crash Bandicoot game, with a whopping total of 334 skins so far. It got generally favorable reviews on Metacritic, getting a Metascore of 80 out of 100 on Switch, a Metascore of 83 out of 100 on the PS4, and a Metascore of 84 out of 100 on the Xbox One.
So now that I've gone over them all, which one do you want to play?
Can I play Spyro?
No. You win again? How? Half your bones are broken.